Welcome to this week's edition of Morning Line, the USTA's weekly news magazine. I'm Paul Ramlow. My co-host Allison Conti is on assignment this week at the Standardbred Horse Sale in Harrisburg. Freaky Feet Pete returned to his home state of Indiana and turned in another dominating performance to score his 5th consecutive victory, this time thrilling his hometown crowd in 149-3 in the $285,500 Monument Circle Pace at Hoosier Park this past Friday. Driven by Trace Tetrick, Freaky Feet Pete used a pocket trip to his advantage to best harness racing's top-rated horse, Wiggle It Jiggle It, in the lane to win by 1 1/4 lengths. With the win, Freaky Feet Pete became the sport's newest millionaire and notched his 23rd victory from 26 starts. The son of Rockin' Image is trained by Larry Reinheimer and owned by Mary Jo and Marty Reinheimer.
I thought he might be tired, might not race good, and he brings it every week.
Is there anything you can say about this whole ride?
Wow. That's it. Yeah. Who'd ever thought?
It was right before we went to the Brewer's Crown, had the same type of race, and I got lucky both times to get a good trip, and Freaky, he does a good horse. He loves to win, and he likes his job. Coming off the turn, it took a little while. We started pacing hard real quick, and both horses the first 5 steps are wicked fast. And that's what makes them both great horses. They get into gear so quick. And I didn't watch. I was getting ready to sprint. I stay close to him, then when I come out, it took Pete a few steps to get really into gear, The time we hit top speed, we were both pacing really hard, I wasn't real sure if I was going to catch him until late, but it worked out and we got the job done.
What a couple of weeks, 3 weekends we've had. This has been wonderful. Yes.
You guys are the owners of $1 million horse.
Awesome.
What do you think of that?
Awesome. Just hard to believe. He's just such a great horse. I mean, he's ours.
I never thought I'd have $1 million horse in my lifetime, but he's worth it. He's a pet.
And what'd you think in the stretch run?
Yeah, I didn't know if we'd get there or not. I was hollering, but then at the last 8th, I thought it was good. Then because he don't have a stop to him.
Crazy Wow and Tim Tetrick pulled the slight 6-1 upset in the $270,000 Carl Erskine Trot for 3-year-old Colton Gelding trotters, scoring in 154. The Hamiltonian winner Pink Man was heavily favored at the betting windows and dictated early fractions before succumbing to the long Hoosier Park stretch. Tetrick and Crazy Wow were well placed turning for home, and the 3-year-old colt did the rest. It was the 8th win of the season for the son of crazed No Pan No Gained, who is trained by Ron Burke. Owned by Our Horse Sense Stables, JT45, J&T Silva Stables, and Dio Valente Farms, Crazy Wow has now earned $905,837 this season.
When you got the Tactor group, there's 2 or 3. I really got beat up at Lexington, so I didn't want to put myself in that same spot again. And, I put a lot of faith in my horse, and he toughed it out tonight. And, he beat a horse that, was one of the best trotters in the country.
Harness racing's richest standardbred ever, Foiled Again, turned into gritty performance to take the $165,000 Hoosier Park Pacing Derby. With regular pilot Yannick Gingras at the controls, Foiled Again dictated the fractions before he began to feel pressure from the rest of the field. Using a 26-3 final panel, he fought off J.K. Endavanera, along with stablemate All Bets Off, to find the wire first. Trained by Ron Burke, Foiled Again notched his 3rd victory from 20 seasonal outings and 86th lifetime win. Owned by Burke Racing Stable, Weaver Buscemi, and the JJK Stables, the 11-year-old gelding has now earned more than $7.2 million lifetime.
He felt really good, he wasn't quite maybe as strong in the final of the British Crown, but I didn't drive him very good either, so the trip didn't work out the way I wanted. And tonight with the rail, I wanted to control things and let him do his things. And when he's on his game, he's really hard to pass.
The Standardbred Horse Sale is being held this week at the Pennsylvania State Farm Show Complex in Harrisburg. This was the first time since 2008 that the yearling auction was held over 3 days rather than 4, which likely contributed to the slight drop in the average price versus 2014. Our Ken Weingartner was at Harrisburg this week and provides us with all the highlights. Hi, Ken.
Thanks, Paul. Well, day 1 of the Standardbred Horse Sale in Harrisburg is in the books, and it was a day for the record book, in fact.
First time I saw her, I really like this filly. You know, we saw of course, you see the page, and you somewhat hope that it's going to be a horse that lives up to that. You know, which don't happen too often, but in this case it did. She's the right type of cantab. You know, she is pretty light-bodied, and she have a nice gait, and she's a really good mover.
I've done this all my life, but you know, there's so many times you sit there and you think you've got that one, and you're so close. And but then this really brought it to 500,000. When she hit 400,000, it was like being in a race. And when she hit 400,000, I saw multiple hands going up in the air, and I almost had to catch myself, because if you got a photograph of me, I was turning white and started to be able to say, my goodness, well, where are we going here?
I don't let my colts wear halters out in the field. So we run them into the barn, and then we throw halters on them. And I have to tell myself, he got past the gate with one of the other colts. He was in a group of 10 other colts. And he got past the gate, and he got past me pretty quick. And boy, you should have seen him trot. So that was the day I knew I had something there.
We sold a lot more horses today than we normally do on Monday, and a good number of them, therefore, would have been sold on Tuesday last year. Tuesday being a lower average day, we have to expect that our average would be down a little bit simply because of the change in format.
8 American National Stakes will be raced this Saturday at Balmoral Park. The marquee event will be the Open Pace, which features Breeders' Crown champion Always Be Mickey, and foiled again, fresh off his score in the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby. Always Be Mickey will be seeking his 4th straight win for trainer Jimmy Takter, and will start from the 3-hole with David Miller up. The 3-year-old colt trot will see the Takter-Miller combination again, as the Bank will be making his first start since capturing the Breeders' Crown at Woodbine. He will face Homicide Hunter, who saw his 16-race winning streak snapped when he finished second in the Carl Erskine at Hoosier. Yonkers Trot champion Habitat is also in the 7-horse field. The red-hot Freaky Feet Pete will lead a field of 7 in the American National 3-year-old colt pace. The Larry Reinheimer trainee will face Lost for Words once again. The Brian Brown trainee finished 3rd behind Pete in the Breeders' Crown and was 4th in last week's Monument Circle. The other 5 contests will feature open trotters in a non-wagering event, plus races for 3-year-old filly pacers and trotters and 2-year-old colt and filly pacers.
The world is full of compromises, but not here. Not on this day, not in this race, not in this sport. Every bet is a hope. Return on investment comes in seconds. This is harness racing. We welcome you to the Harness Racing Fan Zone. See it all for yourself. Feel it in all the passion. Share that experience with others. The Harness Racing Fan Zone puts you in the driver's seat.
In this week's edition of Paul's Paddock Picks, I will take a look at Saturday's American National Open Pace. Always Be Mickey and foiled again last met in the Breeders' Crown, with Always Be Mickey getting the upper hand with a 149-3 win. Foiled again wound up with the final check after a first over trip. I think the outcome will be a bit closer this time around, but I will still go with Always Be Mickey to win. He has just been so impressive in his 3 starts since coming back from a pair of surgeries. David Miller will drive the Jimmy Takter trainee from post 3. For place, I will go with foiled again. This tough 11-year-old always seems to race better in the fall and has won 2 of his last 3 starts. He'll be looking to add to his $7.28 million in career earnings, with Yannick Gingras piloting the Ron Burke trainee from post 5. For show, I will go with another Burke trainee in Bettor's Edge. The winner of $1.5 million lifetime was 4th to foiled again in the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby, and was 2nd to Always Be Mickey in their Breeders' Crown elimination. Matt Kakaley gets the call, and Bettor's Edge will score from post 2. So in the American National Open Pace, I will go with Always Be Mickey to win, foiled again to place, and Bettor's Edge to show. That'll do it for this week's edition of Morning Line. Thanks for joining me, and tune in next week for all your behind-the-scenes harness racing action, including a recap of the stakes action at Balmoral Park and a look at opening weekend coming up at the Meadowlands. We'll see you next week on the Morning Line.